Greetings audience, I'm Boomstick, and today let's talk about the XYL Unicorn Tactical Edition. Before we continue, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to make sure you see more videos just like this one. You can also support the channel on Patreon and be one of these amazing patrons with a special thank you to my pro patron, Nerf Nothing. And now, back to the video. First, let me say that this blaster was sent to me by Out of Darts, along with a box of Worker Heavies, my favorite, which I'm very grateful for. However, the thoughts and opinions stated in this video are my own. With that out of the way, let's get into it. Before we could actually fire the blaster, I had to put it together, and the assembly took a little bit because the included instructions were for a regular unicorn. I did get it figured out, but I definitely got confused over which screw went with which spot. There was also some quality control issues with some excess plastic that I had to shave it with a knife, but I believe those issues have been rectified. The Tactical Unicorn is a pump action springer which features slam fire and a return spring on the pump. It has an angled foregrip attached to Picatinny along the bottom of a priming clamp. While it does have Picatinny along the top, it's attached to the priming bar, which means it moves back and forth when you prime the blaster, which makes adding a sight or an attachment a little awkward. Thankfully, the Unicorn has built-in iron sights. Unfortunately, the back sight is a little too far back, in my opinion, to be useful. Now, you're either going to have a sight on your pick rail right here, or you're going to have to learn how to deal with this back iron sight being back so far. Or you can be like me and just kind of eyeball it. But I understand that that could be a big issue for some people. Especially for something that you're wanting to run on the competitive field. The Unicorn has a skinny pusher with a button mag release on the right side of the blaster. Sorry, lefties. The Unicorn has a safety above the trigger along with 2 takedown pins for quick access to the spring. The Unicorn has 2 stock options for you. The adjustable stock, which utilizes 2 middle bars, or an end strike stock, which can be put on the bottom of the grip. Now, if you're like me and you don't like grip stocks, you can remove that piece. The spring included is fairly hefty, but in exchange, you get some decent power out of it. My Tactical Unicorn was hitting right around 220 FPS with Worker Heavies, which is pretty decent for a competitive Springer primary. Now, as far as compatibility goes, the Tactical Unicorn comes with a straight worker style mag. I wasn't really a fan of the feel of it, but luckily the Unicorn is able to take regular standard worker straights along with Tachis, Kodas, and an easy drum. I haven't had any issues with standard Springer style darts, so I will say as far as the mag and the darts go, it is very highly compatible. However, I will say that when it comes to the spring and the barrel, you're more limited in options. The barrel does have a thread, and there are thread options that we have in the community, so it's not, completely out of luck there. But for the spring, it does have to fit into this tube here. So you're very limited in the option of being able to swap this out if you want something weaker. Because I could definitely see myself wanting to run this at lower FPS games because I do really like the feel of the Tactical Unicorn. But I don't really want that heavy spring, so just swapping it out for a plunger tube with a hole in it to decrease the power, I'd really love to get a much lighter prime out of it if I'm going down in power. Now, if there were more options as far as springs go, I think I could still see myself giving it an A. However, I do think that it is a little limited in its barrel compatibility and spring compatibility, so I will be taking the Tactical Unicorn down to a B. Still really good compatibility, but not quite A-worthy, I would say. Now, where the Tactical Unicorn does come in strong is its aesthetics. I love the Tactical Unicorn aesthetics. I didn't care for the original Unicorn's aesthetics, but for some reason you gave it a little bit longer of a barrel, you gave it that nice clamp pump, and I was sold. I really dig the look of the Tactical Unicorn, and I will definitely be giving it an A between its clean black, white, and orange color scheme. And while black and white could be problematic for some fields, I think it has just enough orange, especially if you got a nice big orange tip on there, to make it perfectly safe. So yes, A for aesthetics. Now let's talk about price. The Tactical Unicorn is $150 from Out of Darts, which is very reasonable for a primary class injection molded blaster. The biggest competition for the Tactical Unicorn would probably be either the Standard Unicorn or the Worker Seagull. I personally prefer the Tactical Unicorn over both of those options, but the Seagull offers more options with its variety of springs and barrels. Because of this, I think I'm going to have to give the Tactical Unicorn a B for its price. I think that there are just more options for a cheaper price, which could give you a bit more bang for your buck. But if you prefer this, and I personally do, I still recommend picking one up. Now for accessibility. The Tactical Unicorn is only available from a few places currently, but Out of Darts has always been great for customer service in my experience. I will say that while the Tactical Unicorn has takedown pins, accessing anything other than the plunger and the spring is rather difficult, especially trying to get into this whole trigger system if you want to get rid of slam fire. If it wasn't for the takedown pins, I'd honestly give the Unicorn a C for its accessibility, but it does have just enough accessibility for it to get a B with its thread-on barrel and takedown pins. Overall, I will say I love the look, I love the feel, but I don't think slam fire is necessary, and I think that feature actually hinders the Tactical Unicorn's performance. I found that the pump needs a little pressure forward in order to fire, and without that pressure, the trigger will just pull the pump back and not fire most of the time. I will say that the catch on the adjustable stock is apparently known to break. So if you tend to put a decent amount of pressure on the back of your stock, that could be a deal breaker for you. I will probably attempt to find a fix for that on mine, as I really do love firing that Tactical Unicorn with the stock out. And I definitely plan on throwing a scar on the end of it and running the Tactical Unicorn in some competitive games so I can give you my field report. But until then, I do think it's a good option if you're looking for a high power injection molded Springer. I will of course link down below in the description to the Out of Darts listing for those wanting to pick up a Tactical Unicorn for themselves. And definitely let me know down in the comments what you think of the Tactical Unicorn. Would you choose the more affordable options of the regular Unicorn or the Seagull, or do you think that it's worth that extra money for the feel and performance that you get? Definitely keep an eye out for the field report for the Tactical Unicorn. But that's all for now, and let's talk some more in the next one.